Then we'll do Avato Olam with
the velvets, or not the velvet. I'm sorry. Avato Olam.
Yeah. And then we'll do so Micha Mocha comes
Is that what we're doing?
before Hashkivenu.
Yes.
And so what we'll do is we will now
Hi, Jeff's family.
Hi, Jeff's family.
I finally made it to Shabbat.
Jeff, do you trim your strings or do you like them a little long?
Straight, I trim.
Yeah, my dad's had a beard run.
Are you on? No way. They're all massive. That's not intentional, right? I figured as much. I'm like, you know what? This is where they definitely kicked out the snake sweater.
Bum, bim, 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 bum. Bim, 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 bum. Bim, bum, bim, bim, bim. My daughter likes that song. Bum, bim, bim, bum. Bim, bim, bim. All right, welcome everyone to our last Shabbat of the fall 2024 semester. I know. The last Shabbat with this current student board. No, not as many. All right, we will start, like always, with Hine Matov. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. Welcome everybody. Not CCM as it says on my sheets. I forgot to change it from last week. We will continue on page 1 with Yedid Nefesh, which I have practiced and promised that we were going to do as correctly as possible. I said we'll try. I mean, no promises. Promises.
Maccabee spirit.
Maccabee spirit, that's right. Yedi nefesh av harachaman mishol mavtecha el ritzonecha yarutz avtecha el ritzonecha yishtachave el mul adarecha Yeravlo Yedidotecha Minofet Suf Bechol Tzam. You know, the melody was mostly right, but I skipped a line. I went back to the line twice. You know what? By January I'll have it. By January I'll have it. Page 3 for Lachuna Ranana. Lechuneranena, 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 ladonai. Lechuneranena, 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 ladonai. Naria Litzor Yishenu Mikadma Fanav B'Torah. Naria Litzor Yishenu Bizmirot Naria Lo. Lechu Niranina, Lechu Niranina, Lechu Niranina, Adonai. Lechu Niranina, Lechu Niranina, Lechu Niranina, Adonai. And we'll go down to 5 lines from the bottom, in either the transliteration or the Hebrew. Arba'im Shana Akut Bidor. Omar Toe Levavheim, Behem Laho Yadu Derachai, Asher Nishbati Va'api, Im Yavo Uhun El Menuchati. Turn the page 4 from Mizmor LaDavid. If everyone likes my cool Harry Potter Tumblr, it's because I forgot. It's because I forgot to watch my other one.
What's your Hogwarts house?
Gryffindor, obviously.
Come on.
It's because of my bravery,
Hufflepuff.
Mizmor LaDavid, Havu Ladonai B'nei Elim, Havu Ladonai Kavod Vaos, Havu Ladonai Kavod Shemo, Ishtachavu Ladonai B'Hadrat Kodesh. Kol Adonai al Hamayim, El HaKavod Hirim, Adonai al Mayim Rabim. Kol Adonai Ba'akoach, Kol Adonai Be'ahadar, Kol Adonai Shomer Arazim, Vaishaber Adonai Et Arzei Halvanon. Vayakidem Kimo Egel, Levanon Vesirion, Kimo Ken Reimim. Kol Adonai, Yosef Lavotesh, Kol Adonai, Yachil Midbar, Yachil Adonai, Midbar Kadesh, Kol Adonai, Yechol Ayalot. Vayachasof Ya'arot, Uhechalo, Kulo Merkavod. Adonai Lamabu Yahashav, Vayeshev Adonai Melech Leolam. Adonai Oz Le'amo Yitein, Adonai Yevarech Et Amo Shalom. We'll continue with Kabbalat Shabbat. This initial part was a welcoming of the Shabbat on page 5 with the Chad Dodi. As a reminder, we'll do every other verse. So Shamor, Hitobari, and then finally Boi B'Shalom.
Dodi, Mikrat Kala, Shabbat. Mikrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Ekavela. Shabbat v'zachor v'lior echad, Yishmiya Direl HaMiuchad, Adonai Echad, Yishmo Echad, Yeshimo Tiferet v'Tikva Lecha Dodi, Mikrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Ekavela. Mikrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Ekavela. Toreri, Diva Orem Kumi Ori, Uri Uri Shetabeli, Yedor Adonai Alai Nikla, Lecha Dodi, Mikrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Ekavela, Lecha Dodi. Likrat Galam, B'nei Shabbat, Ekavela.
Everyone, please rise, face the rear of the room, as if we were welcoming in the Shabbat, as the bride walking down the aisle. Gam l'simcha u'sahola, tokenu ne'am sidula, u'ikala, lechadodi, likrat galam, b'nei Shabbat, ekavela. Everyone will please remain standing as we move into the actual Ma'ariv service with Baruch Hu, the call to prayer. And I awake, and I prepare. Are you listening to my prayer? Then you hear my voice, then you understand. And I awake, and I prepare. Yada la la la, yada la la la, yada la la la, yada la la. One more time. Yada la la la, yada la la la, yada la la la, yada la la. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed, Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated. I will say the first blessing before the Shema. Then we'll go into Avat Olam. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher bivaro ma'ariv aravim b'chuchma b'tech she'arim v'rivvunem ashanei yitiv machalif et hazmanim v'msader ha'chochavim v'mishbarotehem b'arkei kirtzono b'rei yom v'layla golel or mibnei choshech choshech b'pnei or ma'avir yom u'bevid layla ma'avdil bein yom u'bein layla Adonai tzvaot shemo el chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleim le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv aravim. Please turn now to page 7 for Ahavat Olam. Let's get that right. Ahavat Olam in Israel. Show us the way, teaching us to number our days. When we rise and when we lie down, our hearts Torah v'mitzvot, Chukim v'mishpatim, Otzar v'levatetzon. One more time. Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amchatam, Torah v'mitzvot, Chukim v'mishpatim, Otzar v'levatetzon. Everyone will please rise as we recite the Shema. And as we've done for the last several months, we'll recite the Shema and B'Hafta together in Hebrew on page 9 with the transliteration, page 8 with the transliteration on page 9, followed by repeating it in English on page 9. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Silently. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu advarim ha'elem asher Anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinamtam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'lechtecha b'derech u'shochtecha u'fkumecha u'shartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu l'totafot b'neinecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha. Turn to page 9 and we'll recite together in English. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Praised be the name of the one whose glorious sovereignty is forever and ever. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all that is yours. These words that I command you this day shall be taken to heart. Teach them again and again to your children. Speak of them when you sit in your home, when you walk on your way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand, and a symbol above your eyes. Inscribe them upon the doorposts of your home and on your gates. Please be seated. We'll turn to page 10 now from Michamocha.
Like you,
Adonai, who is like you? Back to the Yada Lads. Who is like you? Adonai, who is like you? Adonai. We're going to continue with what is actually the last blessing of the Shema, the second blessing of the Shema. Hashkivenu.
Yeah.
All right, please turn to page 11 now for Vishamru. Vishamru, Bene Israel, Be'etzah, Shabbat, Asot, Be'etzah, Shabbat, Vishamru, Bene Israel, Be'etzah, Shabbat, Asot, Be'etzah, Shabbat, Israel, oh, see Leona, Vishamru, Bene Israel, Be'etzah, Shabbat, Asot, Be'etzah, Shabbat, Le'Elohim, Ki sheshet yamim, Asa Adonai, Asa Adonai, Et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, Vishamru, Bene Israel, Be'etzah, Shabbat, Asot, Be'etzah, Shabbat, Le'Elohim, Uvayom hashvi'i, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Vishamru, Bene Israel, Be'etzah, Shabbat, Asot, Be'etzah, Shabbat, Le'Elohim, all right, it's the time. So I want to talk a little bit about this week's Parsha. This week's Parsha is Chayei Sarah. I love art museums. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because they're quiet. I don't get a lot of quiet. Maybe it's because they're cold and kind of relaxing places. Maybe there's a spiritual element to being surrounded by and in the presence of these works of immense artistic genius, the types of creations that I could not possibly replicate even if I trained for years and years and years. I love art museums, but I am bad at analyzing art. I have no idea what's good or what's bad. I just like art museums. In college, I spent the summer studying in Florence. And at my parents' behest, and by the way, they were right because I was going to possibly get this opportunity again. One of the courses I took was on Renaissance art history. It very quickly became apparent that I didn't know what I was doing. I could memorize terms. I could understand who the artists were. I could recognize the different religious and historical figures. But forced perspective, no idea. Could not possibly identify it. Music, I'm good at. Visual art, entirely hopeless. I use this very long introduction by way of letting us sort of get into the mindset of the idea that looking at something and seeing something are not identical. These terms are not interchangeable. There's a very, very big difference, as really seeing something implies a level of really comprehending what's in front of you. This week we read in Genesis 24 that Isaac is described as looking up and seeing camels approaching. I would normally not mention that. That's a very sort of small detail. There's not a lot to read there. I was an English major, and I would say that this is not something I need to overly analyze. Likely, it was not unusual for wealthy people in the desert to see camels approaching. But in the very next verse, the Torah tells us that Rebekah, who was, of course, on one of the camels, she's arriving, and she raises her eyes and sees Isaac. She knows that she's being brought to Isaac to basically marry him, but she had never met him before, which is a conversation certainly for another day. But this concept of her really seeing him, of really knowing, okay, this is the person that I'm coming to be wed with, is important. It's not just another sight at the end of a very long cross-desert journey, but it's the end of the journey itself. I've been thinking a lot recently about this distinction between looking and seeing. Our lives are, of course, quite busy, crammed full of countless ways to distract ourselves. I bet that we each have, right now, on our person, several devices that we can use. Who has more than just a phone with them? Yes, that's what I'm saying. How many of us just randomly scroll through Instagram or TikTok? Not really even taking things in. You're just seeing the stimulation. We are looking at, we have access to endless content, but we're not really seeing anything. We're just looking. And in many ways, of course, this is a lesson that we can take for our interactions with each other. It is incredibly easy for all of us, especially on a campus of 65,000 people, to just walk around, not really interacting with anybody, and just people watch. There's a reason why people like people watching. There's this enjoyment on seeing someone you don't know and you are unlikely to ever see again and grafting onto them the kind of interpretation of their life, even when it doesn't match what reality is. This comes into play certainly in my life. I have two kids. My toddler, it's usually pretty easy to understand what she wants, even if she can't speak all the way because she just yells. But for other children, it's harder. My older son, it's harder because I remember what it's like to be a kid. But that's not my experience. I need to really be listening and looking to what he is trying to tell us. I've also been thinking about this in the context of the election. You guys know me well enough now to know that from this particular place, I try to keep politics entirely separate. I know there are synagogues, perhaps some of you grew up in synagogues, where discussing politics is expected. But here, I try to keep it out. I'm sure all, 25 of us in this room or whatever, had our own reaction to the election. Some people in here were probably extremely happy. Your views were validated by a mandate of American voters. Others of you, definitely in this room, were crushed and wondered why the country had so turned away from what you believe. But for a lot of us, there's a really hard thing here of trying to understand the other group's reaction. Why don't they feel like me? Why don't they see that X or Y? Jeff, you might be thinking, Why should I try to see the other side? They reject me and everything I stand for. I hate what they believe in. They hate what I believe in. I'm going to spend every second of the next 2 or 4, 6 or 8 years working against their agenda. I get it. I hear you. There are views that are incompatible with each other. We do not have to be tolerant of intolerance. What I'm suggesting is that perhaps it's important for us to really see why people have had such strong reactions, not just to the election. There's many, many events going on that I think would warrant this kind of sort of deep dive. Mockery feels good in the moment, but it's not going to get us anywhere without concrete action. Not everyone is worth seeing. There are too many people. There's too much difference. But over the next 7 or 8 weeks before we're back together here, I want you to try to really see someone, perhaps just one person, someone who you may not have really seen or understood before. Shabbat Shalom. We'll turn now to page 12 for Chatzi Karish. Yikara v'yikarash shumei rabba v'amad yivrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayetecho beit Yisrael ba'agala ba'agala uv'izman ka'hariv v'yemuru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevorach Le'olam Olam Me'amaya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitrumam V'yitnaseh V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shemei Kudesham Le'elam Mikol Birchata V'shihirata Tush bechata v'nechemata ta'amiran v'yalma v'yemeru. Amen. If everyone will please rise and turn to page 13, we will begin the Amida. As always, we will recite together as a community the first 2 pages, followed by time for personal prayer. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imoteinu Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor, HaNorah El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim V'konei hakol, v'zocher chasdei avot v'imahot, u'mevii geula livnei v'neihem, l'man shemo b'ahava, melech chozer v'moshiach Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham be'ezrat Sarah. Turn the page. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol ataraf le'hoshia, Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayehem emunato, Mishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, Umito melach, Melech memit, Mechayeh, Umatzliach Yeshua, V'ne'mata chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. All right, please continue silently, and there is no rush. But when you are done, you may be seated.
Is that 6?
Yeah.
Is it 6? Yeah, that's right.
Shalom Rabbi Yisrael Amcha Asim Le'olam. Shalom Rabbi Yisrael Amcha Asim Le'olam. Ki atahu melech ador
Please turn to page 19. Misha Berach, which, as I say every week, is a prayer for healing, whether it's of physical, certainly, but spiritual or emotional. As I said last week, I will be keeping in my thoughts Rabbi Spector from Ohev Shalom.
Bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Ishe Be'era Divotei Tikor HaBracha Le'avoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us sing Amen.
All right, everyone, please turn to page 20 and rise for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol Lateit kedula liotzer breshit Shelo asanu kuyeh haratzot Velo samanu kimishpachot ha'adama Shelo sam chelkeinu kahem V'gor aleinu kechol hamonam V'anachnu korim Umitachavim modim Lifnei melech malchei hamlachim Hakadosh Baruch Hu Hu noteh shamayim ve'yoseh haaretz U'moshav yikara b'shamayim mima'al U'shchinatu zo ve'gavei me'eromi Hu Eloheinu Ehenod Emet Malkeinu Refezu Lato Kakatuv B'Torato V'yadata hayom L'hashevota El levavecha Ki Adonai Hu Ha'Elohim B'Shamayim Mima'al V'yal haaretz, v'yal haaretz, mitachat einod, einod. Ve'emar, Haya Adonai, Melech al kol haaretz. Bayom hahu, bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo, u'shemo, u'shemo echad. Please remain standing as we recite Mordechai Kaddish. We at Hillel are thinking about Sherry Pollock Lynn tonight. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah. Alma tivrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayedechol Beit Yisrael. Ha'agala v'zman kariv v'yamru. Yehei shmei Rabbah v'varach v'olam v'lamei alamaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitrumam v'yitnaseh. V'yitzadar v'yitaleh v'yitalash shmei dekudashah. Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechamata. Da'amiran b'yalma v'yamru. Yehei shlama rabba min shemayim. V'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yamru amen. Oseh shalom b'mrumav. V'yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yamru amen. Please be seated. I have no announcements. Happy Thanksgiving.
Hello closes at 1 p.m.
Hello closes at 1 p.m. on Tuesday. UCF has a game tomorrow. They play
At West Virginia.
at West Virginia. Country Roads, right?
I thought we were playing against Utah.
That's next week.
Next Friday.
That's next Friday. Gators play Ole Miss tomorrow. It's gonna be a good one.
Wait, in the swamp?
In the swamp
Yes.
at noon.
So then Cleveland's to see where it ends up next year.
I would love that, but it doesn't seem likely.
Wait, which game?
The University of Florida against University of Mississippi. The Rebels, so we should not unpack that a little bit. This is our last Shabbat until January, I think, 10th.
Correct.
Shabbats still happen in the world. We just aren't having them. I encourage you to.
Not without you.
Not without me?
Without you.
There was no Shabbat before Jeff. I encourage you to find somewhere, whether you're home, whether you're around here in Orlando, find somewhere to daven. If you're going to be around Orlando between now and January, you can certainly get in touch with me and I'll figure out where, help you find a place to go pray. There are shuls around here, or at least there's shuls in Orlando.
CRJ
I don't know.
has free student admission.
CRJ and OHEV, both have free
I'm
student.
biased for CRJ.
CRJ is the Reform Synagogue. OHEV is the major conservative synagogue. Of course, there's Chabad. There is a non-Chabad Orthodox shul. It's in downtown. It's in Southwest Orlando somewhere.
We'll follow you, Jeff.
Follow me wherever. Good.
You lead the way.
That's not cool to go.
No, I'm good. I'm here. I'm here to start a cult. If everyone shows up,
Some schools have Gatorade. We have practices.
Shabbat at your house next week?
Shabbat at my house. Sure. Fine. I'll be out of town.
We don't we'll be there.
Page 22 for Adon Olam. Adon Olam, Hashem Allah, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Le'ed Nasa, V'chetzer Kol. Azar Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, V'acharei Kiflot Hakol, Adon Olam, V'hu Hayah, V'hu Hoveh, V'hu Yeh B'tifara Adon Olam, Hashem Allah, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Le'ed Nasa, V'chetzer Kol. Azar Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, V'hu Echad, V'ein Sheni, Laham Shilo, Lahachbira Adon Olam, V'li Reshit, V'li Tachlit, V'lo Ha'oz, Laham Mizra Adon Olam, Hashem Allah, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Le'ed Nasa, V'chetzer Kol. Azar Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, V'hu Eli, V'chai Go'alit, B'tzorach avli b'eit zara adon olam. V'hu nisi u'hanosli. V'nakusi b'yom mekra adon olam. Adon olam. Hashem Allah. V'terem kol. Yitzir nivra le'nasam. V'chetzer kol. Azar melech shemo nikra adon olam. V'yato afki ruchi. V'eiti sham v'ha'ira adon olam. V'im ruchi geviyati. Adonai v'lo ira adon olam. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Please join us next door for food.